gentlemen. Woo! You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
What?
Welcome to another edition of Around the Turnbuckle. My name's the Big Albowski. I'm here today with heel turn Harry, Professor Keith, and our special guest panelist today, Mr. TJ Spinner.
Let's go.
All right, guys, let's get at it. How you guys doing tonight, Harry? How we feeling?
I'm awesome. I want to just say thank you, TJ, for coming aboard. It's going to be a great show, my friend.
Absolutely.
And Professor?
I'm aggravated. I'm a little sad. That should be good TV, right?
When aren't you? All right, before we get to our first topic, gentlemen, let me put this up here, guys. If you are watching us and you like our show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our fan page on Facebook, all that good stuff. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring that bell to get information about our newest episodes. And I want to see the topics. I want to see the comments tonight, guys. I want to see comments. Throw us some questions. Throw the panel some questions. And we'll be happy to answer all of them. Our first topic tonight is a solemn one. We in the wrestling community lost a superstar a couple days ago, and Keith knows about that in the form of Rollerball Rocco. Keith, take it away, bud.
So Mark Rollerball Rocco was a legend in the British wrestling scene. He also wrestled for New Japan. He wrestled the original Tiger Mask Sayama. He wrestled Dynamite Kid multiple times. Through a hell of a suplex. Great, smooth wrestler. He was a big influence on William Regal and British wrestling in general. He would take a turnbuckle back bump that would put Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair to shame even. This guy would take it so tight that there was maybe an eyelash from him breaking his neck. I've also been watching some of his videos, and I'm a Taker guy. For me to say somebody would throw a tombstone better than Taker is high praise. This guy threw a tombstone better than Taker.
Wow.
So we want to send our condolences to the family, to the friends, and to the fans of Mark Rollerball Rocco this week.
And it must be noted that some of the fans out there might have remembered him in New Japan Wrestling as the Black Tiger, yes?
Black Tiger, yes. Yes, all that stuff's on YouTube. I highly recommend going out there and checking some of those videos out.
EJ, I know you're going to check out that video just to see if the tombstone is what he just said it was.
Yeah, we'll fact check that when we have some time. Sounds like fucking shit to me, but okay.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, my God. All right. Our first topic. The big news this week, guys, hit as Marty Jannetty took to Twitter and basically indicted himself as a possible murderer back when he was a teenager. Professor Keith, this was your topic. You got some details to share.
I do. I have Marty Jannetty's original Facebook post about this. So we're not going to go through all of it because some of it is some personal problems that apparently he's already worked out with his girlfriend. I'm going to warn everybody now, there is a description of a gay person in here that you may not like, but I'm going to use his wording for it. So this is from Marty Jannetty directly from his Facebook. I never told no one this, even my brother Gino, because Gino would have killed him, and I didn't want my brother gone. Hell, he only recently came home from Vietnam. I was 13 working at Victory Lane's bowling alley buying weed from a fag that worked there, and he put his hands on me. He dragged me around to the back of the building. You already know what he was going to try to do. That was the very first time I made a man disappear. They never found him. They should have looked in the Chattahoochee River. And then it goes into his problems with his girlfriend. Does anybody else, because I haven't seen a lot of outlets talk about this. I've only seen one do it. Did you guys pick up on the other really disturbing thing in this post beyond the incident he's talking about?
No, what was that?
He said that was the very first time. So doesn't that imply an implication that there were more times after that?
Allegedly, yeah.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So let me click over to the next article because Jannetty did do an interview where he clarified this. So one day after claiming and then deleting that he had murdered someone when he was 13 years old, Marty Jannetty discussed his confession further and stated that he was defending himself against a sexual predator. Jannetty appeared on Boston Wrestling's YouTube channel to discuss his social media claims, and there is a link to a show there. I don't have that with me. During the 20-minute discussion, Jannetty stated that when he was 13, a front desk clerk at Victory Lanes, a bowling alley in Columbus, Georgia, attempted to rape him. Jannetty, who was working at the bowling alley at the time, stated that he knew the person was known for selling weed, which is why Jannetty went to see him, but didn't know the same person lured children. Jannetty claimed that he was allegedly fondled inside the person's car, and when he tried to get out, the clerk got angry. Jannetty stated that he was pulled out of the car into an alley and had his pants pulled down, but was able to grab a brick and strike the clerk before he could be sexually assaulted anally. Jannetty stated that the person didn't deserve to die, but deserved to get his ass beaten. Jannetty also stated he didn't intend for the person to die. And then it goes back to Jannetty claimed on Facebook the body was disposed of in the Chattahoochee River. Jannetty stated how the trauma of nearly being raped, killing someone, and then throwing the person in the river and finding out on the news the dude's missing badly affected him. And while Jannetty has been known to make some outlandish statements on social media and has not been in the best of health in recent years, police in Georgia have opened an investigation into Jannetty's claims, that according to TMZ. Jannetty's 60 now, so if it was when he was 13, the alleged murder would have taken place in 1973. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation's website does not currently list any unsolved murders prior to 1980, which I think with what Jannetty's claiming that it wouldn't be in an unsolved murder because if they never found the body, he would just be a missing person up until now. And from what I understand, the investigation is not something that it's active, but it's not something that you're going to necessarily see a ton of resources thrown at because there are a lot of more recent active homicides open. And this is a dude claiming, you know, he did something in 1973, and it's just his word for it.
Anybody have any comments? Harry?
Well, I mean, my only question is if this dude worked at his bowling alley, nobody was looking for this guy? Like, you're
maybe they did look for him, they never found him.
No, but what I'm saying is like, all right, you're a clerk at a bowling alley, you're working, no one's seen you. Like, that doesn't throw a red flag?
Probably, but I'm just saying there was probably a missing persons filed and they never found him. So, I mean, you know.
And I mean, I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to say that this is what struck it all, but an occurrence like that at an age of 13 can really mess you up psychologically. And that would really go with the way he is now.
Well, right, exactly.
His downward spiral.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad because, you know what? He wasn't amazing as a wrestler, and we all knew who was the best out of the Rockers. But if this is true, and I'm not excusing him for anything that he's doing, or if he did it, but that'll fuck a guy up. You know, I mean, that'll really just mess you up.
Yeah.
Long term.
I mean, yeah, a lot of spiraling down usually deals with demons, and you have to fight those demons the rest of your life.
That's a hell of a demon, man.
TJ can attest to that. You got any comments on this?
I had looked back at it and did some more research about like his different outbursts, and it's almost like at some point with his relationship with his girlfriend or wife, whatever she was, he had a mental breakdown, and that's what started I'm going to go on to social media and indict myself and tell on myself. And, you know, if in fact that happened allegedly, right, he's been probably carrying that around for 40 years, 50 years. Sounds like that. And like you guys said, that would explain a lot of the shit for the reasoning for all the things that he's done throughout his career, you know, but I'm not a firm believer of hop on any social media or anywhere and indict anything. Like, it's just no, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this except for I like what happens now, Keith. What happens now? Like what's going to happen? You know, moving forward.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I will dispute what Harry said because actually Jannetty was the one that everybody pegged as being the star. That Marty was going to be the one that was going to come out of the Rockers, and he was going to be the guy. And it was going to be Sean that was probably going to fade away. They did not see it with Sean. Marty had the business on a silver platter. All he needed to do was reach out and take that success. And like Sean talked about in his book, Sean was the one that initiated the breakup because Sean wanted to be a single and Marty still wanted to be a tag team. Marty didn't see the need to break up, the need to change the act and go off on it. I mean, Marty Jannetty has always been Marty Jannetty's worst enemy.
Yeah.
You know, this
it's usually how it is.
Yeah. And this is another prime example of that. Right now, like I say, from what I can find and what my understanding is, the police will investigate it. I'm sure they'll bring Jannetty in for an interview. I'm sure they'll get, everything out of him that they can get. If I was any kind of attorney for Jannetty at this point, I would probably urge him cooperate, give them as much detail as you can and try to hope for leniency if something does come out of it. Like I say, it's not a high priority right now. It sounds like for the police because they have a lot of other homicide investigations going on, and depending, I don't know what the manpower situation or the funding situation looks like. For where was this? For the police department where he is, or the police department that would be investigating this. But that's got to be taken into consideration too. I mean, it's definitely a developing story right now. I will say that. I don't think we've heard the last of this.
We got our first comment, guys, from Jackie. She says, "How did a 13-year-old dispose of a whole dead body?" I don't know.
Keith? And Jackie, I had the same thought. You can be a big ass 13-year-old. I mean, my brother was a genetic freak. At 13, he didn't look like he was 13, but yeah, I've never seen a picture of Marty Jannetty at 13, and that kind of leaped out to me too, is like, how does a 13-year-old in that situation? But at the same token, we only have very sketchy details. I don't know how far the river would have been from the bowling alley. It's possible that since this happened in the car, maybe the guy lured him to the car and they drove closer to the river, so it wasn't necessarily as big of a drag as you might think. But I agree with you, Jackie. That was something that I thought of too. That was the first thought that popped into my head, is depending on where the incident happened, how does a 13-year-old, even a strong 13-year-old, drag a full-grown man, presumably, because that seems to be how it's being represented in the story here. How does he drag a full-grown man and throw him into the river?
Well, here's a simple, no, I don't say simple, but here's an explanation. You hit the guy with the brick, you get him in the car goes in the river, car sinks.
Norman Bates disposal.
Yo, Harry,
valid.
Yeah, what?
That's valid.
It is.
Harry, you came up with that so well. It sounds like you did away with some people in the past there. What's going on?
Not confirm nor deny that my construction company and my sanitation company have not disposed of some things.
Hey, those companies aren't exactly owned by the Boy Scouts. You know what I'm saying?
No, they're owned by very reputable people. If you know Tony Mamaluke.
Tony Mamaluke.
There's a name.
Sean,
all right, Harry, we're switching topics. Your topic now is Retribution, which happened at the end of SmackDown Live on Friday night.
Now,
go ahead.
I don't know if you and Keith, and I don't know if TJ's seen it, the video.
I've seen it.
There is a new group called Retribution. Their goal is to cause chaos.
I love it.
Their main goal, but what I like about it is their main goal is to give WWE loosen the reins, so to speak, on talent and to right the wrongs that they're doing to certain superstars. That's their main mission. I saw the video. I'm not going to say it was very well put together. It was very chaotic, which I guess that's what they're going for. They did a lot of interesting things. They spray painted the WWE logo on the glass and put a big X through it. They destroyed the apron around the ring. They chased off announcers. They chased off cameramen. They beat up the superstars in the crowd. I have, of course, like everything else in WWE, I'm cautious because they can fuck it up in a heartbeat. But I think if done correctly, it could be great. I want to get your thoughts before I give you my theory on how this all can tie together and how it's been long-term without you knowing it's long-term.
Whose thoughts you want first?
Whichever negativity. Well, wait. When we get to Keith, you have to give me a moment so I can prepare for Keith.
All right. So maybe we should let Keith go last.
Yes, you go first.
All right. My opinion is I know they're doing it for ratings, and usually this kind of thing has generated ratings in the past. But I don't trust WWE creative, and Vince's hand has been in NXT the past few weeks, few months, whatever, because you're starting to see things that you would see on Raw, and it's ruining NXT for me because I love the way NXT was with just great freaking matches. You get all these guys together from Japan, from the UK, from the indie circuit, and you put them together and you have these great freaking matches that tell their own stories. And the Undisputed Era was and is a great faction, a great group. But this whole thing, to me, them attacking, the only thing, I guess I got to see more of it, but at the same time, it doesn't excite me the way that Undisputed Era did when it started, or even when, I'll give you another comparison. How about the Nexus? When the Nexus came to Raw and destroyed the ring, we knew who they were because they were on NXT before that. So we knew who they were. These are a bunch of guys in masks showing up with chainsaws and cutting the ring ropes and shit like that. I mean, that's wrestling. That's my opinion, but that's my opinion. But I mean, Kyle says DX 2020. Yeah, to me, it's a water. To me, to me, and I saw there was men and women in the group. I get that, but to me, it's really. I'm like, meh. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, oh my god, this is crazy. This is awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see next week. But I know that there was about 1 million people out there that probably not even. I'm sorry, 1 million's a strong number. Let's say 1,000 people out there that said, oh yeah, you know what? I can't wait to see what happens next week on Friday.
So, Keith, before you start, you're gonna have to excuse me a second. I gotta get prepared.
All right, wait, TJ, you got it. I know you didn't see the Retribution attack.
No, but it's definitely a ratings ploy. I would assume that's. If I know Vince and I know how Vince ruined shit, I would assume that it's a ratings ploy to turn this up a notch.
Anthony Joseph says is the Undisputed Era behind this. The answer to that question, the easy answer is we don't know, but I doubt it. Based on what I saw, it didn't look like anybody from the Undisputed Era was involved.
And if there's women in the group, that's not the Undisputed Era. They don't have any women in the group. Right. That's your typical, 4 horsemen, 4 guys kind of stable.
Yeah, and I mean, oh boy.
Oh,
what
shit.
Is that?
He's ready. He's ready.
Keith,
So, listen.
Keith, go ahead.
The shit storm that's about to hit, I'm prepared. So let's go, Keith. Come on.
Let's begin.
Go ahead.
Okay. So obviously, this is being booked as an invasion angle because invasion angles always make money. Doesn't matter where it is, doesn't matter who it is. You know, Jimmy from the hot dog stand can come invade your wrestling promotion, and it will make money, at least at first, because it's an invasion angle. This is the problem so far with this freaking thing. I didn't see it. I read about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't need to see this. I don't hate myself enough. These guys were coming in with the idea of, we're going to destroy the place. That's not an invasion angle. An invasion should be the heels are coming in, take all the titles, take all the power, beat up all the baby faces, and ultimately take over the company. That's what the gold stand, the NWO. Was that not the NWO's goal? And the NWO was such a gold standard invasion, they actually managed to import that thing to New Japan, who invented the invasion angle, really popularized the invasion angle, and they imported it over there. These guys are coming out under hoods, so we don't know who they are. We don't know where they're from. We don't know what they're about. So already, how is this designed to get people into it? I mean, the thing with the NWO was you had Scott Hall come out of the crowd, come out of nowhere. You knew who Scott Hall was. You knew where Scott Hall worked as recently as a month or so before, and you knew, and all he had to do was go up and say, "You want a war? You got a war." And everybody got it. And again, the NWO, they wanted to destroy WCW, but they made it pretty clear, like, we want to destroy it and replace it with NWO.
We're getting to John Cena, AJ. We're gonna get to John Cena.
Oh yeah, we got some John Cena today. Harry can't take off his raincoat until we're done with John Cena.
Right. No, I can't take my raincoat off until we're done.
All right.
The whole show? The whole show? You're gonna have that sucker on for an hour?
Oh, no, keep it on, Harry. Yeah, he's not gonna make it.
No.
I mean, and again, this is also to placate the internet. We're going to make your stars that you're so mad that the company isn't using right. Good, like, stop. I've seen this before. You brought up the Nexus, Alan. Perfect example. The Nexus came out and they destroy the ring and they beat the crap out of everybody and they run roughshod, and what starts happening the next week? Handcuffs, rules, neutering, and what? Within 2 to 3 months, they're all jobbing to John Cena one after another at SummerSlam, and it's dead. WWE Creative could fuck up a wet dream. Okay, these guys are idiots. They don't understand wrestling. They don't care about wrestling. They're frustrated television writers. At this point, I would be shocked if this is any kind of successful for more than a month. I have no faith in them. And frankly, this seems like it's gotten off on the wrong foot already.
Right. If they came out with no masks on, even if we didn't recognize their faces, I think it might have made a little bit of an impact. We might have been like, who are these guys? I mean, take the chainsaw out of it. Maybe if they just came up and beat up the announcers and beat up the wrestlers, and even went to the crowd and started beating up some of the PC guys, right? The Performance Center people. Yeah, that was fine, but who the hell are they? Nobody cares.
Exactly. And why are you destroying the place? Why aren't you trying to take it over? What logic is there in saying, oh, we're just going to destroy everything? Okay, then why don't you do what the guys on Raw did and just throw things at the generator and turn out the lights and, cause a riot in the arena so that I guess that wouldn't work so well because they own the building. So it's not like it's going to come to them and go.
I want to acknowledge my son just put his first comment on Around the Turnbuckle. He says Retribution is led by Tommaso Ciampa.
That wouldn't be the stupidest thing. That might actually salvage it for me a little bit. But again, why would a guy that's put in as much time as Tommaso Ciampa has? Again, and that goes back to what I say about guys act one way in NXT and still they come to the main roster and it's like, oh yeah, we have to fix what you used to do in NXT. Well, wait a minute. It's on your television. It's on network television. I've watched Tommaso Ciampa for 3-4 years in NXT now, I think. So
Yeah.
why would we go from he was trying to win the title, he was trying to work within the rules, he was acting like a wrestler, to I'm a terrorist leader with a chainsaw now.
Because
We're
if
going to
he's
destroy the
leading,
company.
well, no, maybe he wasn't there, but maybe he's leading them, and you know what I mean. He got them together. They can play that route.
They could, but I mean, it's just, to me, it's off to such a bad start, because the logic of an invasion angle should be the invading force wants to take over the company. And that's part of what makes them heels and what makes them assholes, is that you got the person who owns the company and the talent who works within the company, and they've done things the right way, and they've built something up, and these scumbags want to come in and just steal it from them and take a shortcut to matter.
How you really feel?
Yeah.
How you really feel there, bud? You all right?
All right, heel turn. I want to hear your rebuttal as far as the shitstorm that you just took on.
I wanted to say it's now sunny and about 78. No showers in sight for the near future. But I want to touch on a lot of things that Keith said and what your son said.
Go ahead.
I'm not looking at this as an invasion angle. What I think is going to happen is whoever's in this group is already in WWE. They're either on NXT, they're either on the main roster. In terms of Ciampa, I have two scenarios for who's leading this group.
Well, Kyle thinks CM Punk is.
That is the ultimate amazing leader.
I don't believe it for a second.
0.00000000001% chance of that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not disagreeing. I think it's or what about Sami Zayn?
Does he still work here?
He does.
Yep.
Okay.
But he's been pissed off about the coronavirus stuff. He's been public about that he felt like their precautions are not good, and that goes back to even before all those tests, those positive tests they had that got Taz with the sloppy shop comment that they really didn't like. I don't think they're giving Sami Zayn any kind of big push, and even if you did, it goes back to that crap again where Vince goes, I can treat a guy like garbage and make him a jobber and a loser and an idiot. And then when I decide, I want to use him now one day, all of a sudden he matters again and he's great. I would not.
Here it goes. Here it comes. All right, because this is going to get worse. It's about to get worse. It's about to get worse. All right. So Keith has reaction to recent comments from one John Cena.
I'm not even done.
We haven't heard John Cena's name in wrestling for a very long time, and now all of a sudden he had some stuff to run his mouth about. And I believe, am I wrong? He's going to be on SmackDown next Friday. I heard that. That's a rumor going around. Keith, what do you got on Mr. Cena?
I'm trying to bring it up because I just want to read the glorious stupidity that is these quotes.
Yeah.
This is again, John Cena has this idiot mindset. And when Steve Austin does it, I'm less critical because Austin isn't plugged into her system from like 2003 forward. So Austin has a very different picture of what WWE is. It's no perfect, Dave. Yes, no way, Jose. That'll get it over. Cena has this mindset of like anybody can walk into Vince's office, it seems like. And that's just not reality. Let me read what John Cena said. So John Cena was talking about
Rudolph!
I tell ya.
Yeah.
Come on, Harry. You know what you have to do.
Yeah, Harry. Natalia's on there.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Can you believe that?
I can, because I'm here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's why she's tuned in?
She's tuned in because of Harry, yes. All right, so go ahead.
So Raw Underground is an opportunity. I think any paradigm shift, any big announcement, anything in that world that is ever changing, constantly pivoting, there is always a search for growth, Cena said. Number one, who the fuck talks like that? I was just
going to say.
Yeah, who fucking talks like that?
Can Cena even spell the word pivoting? Let's be real.
Really?
Fuck out of here.
Exactly. But there's more. It's an opportunity. That's exactly what it is. So I think it needs a little bit of time to find itself. And in all things, if it lacks creative definition from the top, I really hope performers embrace the unknown and they define it. And then it gets worse. A great example of that is Steve Austin. Steve Austin wasn't told to be Steve Austin, but he was given a chance to speak, and Stone Cold Steve Austin came out of that. And then the power of the WWE sent this dude's personality out to everybody. That's where we get one of, if not the greatest WWE superstars of all time in Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I see a lot of opportunities like that. You have this newer thing, not a lot of people know what all of it is, and that is the absolute best for anyone that is going to be in front of the camera because they can define it and they can take advantage of the opportunity. There is so much wrong with this.
Okay, real quick.
Go ahead, TJ.
If John Cena is using words that have more than 3 syllables, and I know for a fact he can't spell them, he needs to take them out of his vocabulary because he sounds like a fucking idiot. No, John Cena, we can't see you, and please keep it that way. That's all I have.
Well, and I'm going to piggyback off of TJ real quick.
Go ahead.
John Cena needs to just stick to his ridiculously stupid movies and his stupid freaking animated series and just stay away from WWE. Like, you ruined so much talent just by doing your stupid 5 moves of doom and your company kiss-ass shit. Like, I just...
Real fast, can I just say he's like the Wish version of The Rock?
Yeah, he is. He is. You know what? Yeah, he is. He is the Wish version of The Rock. He is just...
TJ, but the kids love him.
Yeah, God.
Listen, there are channels on television for kids. Can we put John Cena on television and get him off the shit that I care about?
Wasn't it 12 rounds?
It took Bray Wyatt how long to come back because John Cena couldn't just do what he should have done?
And Rusev never came back.
Yeah, you buried more people than the graveyard people. Like, you just need to go away.
Again, and you're blaming Cena for what he was booked to do.
John Cena had so much power, it takes this. Vince, no, I don't want to do that.
So you're saying if you were John Cena, you would have. If you were John Cena, you would have said, "No, Vince, I'm not beating Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. He's up and coming. Let's put him over."
Isn't that what Taker did? Isn't that what people do?
That's not what it. No, Taker does what Vince wanted him to do.
Listen, if the Undertaker, if John Cena, if Randy Orton, if certain guys goes to Vince and goes, "No, I don't need to do this. This guy's up and coming. I can rebound."
Hang on, TJ just got called out.
TJ, what was that about right
now? Time the fuck out, Kyle. Let's be clear. Yeah. Let's be clear. I will wrap circles around anybody you know, including John fucking Cena. Get the fuck out of here. Cut the shit. John Cena can rap better than me. He couldn't hold my baby powder when I threw it on my nuts. Let's be clear.
Are you the doctor of ergonomics?
Hi, Christy.
Are you the doctor of ergonomics?
Damn, I thought I'd be the one cutting promos on John Cena tonight.
Woo! I know. I feel like I should play devil's advocate and I should defend the guy, but I can't. I ain't thinking.
Is John Cena a sponsor of the show here? Is he sponsoring Around the Turnbuckle?
I have no idea.
Because we're talking about his cupcake ass a lot.
Yeah, I know. I have no idea.
I mean, he rap better than me, Kyle. Don't have this become a segment about you, buddy.
Yeah, he'll try. He'll try to take it over.
Love you, cuz.
So kind of back on track to what I was, again, thinking is so stupid is that
yes, AJ, go ahead.
Cena has such a revisionist, like, I swear to God, there's a hole in his back that Vince McMahon shoves his hand into every time he wants to say the unpopular shit. Because Cena is such a company guy. I mean, and even now, he doesn't even work there, and he's still a company guy. We're not in an era where guys can just walk into Vince's office and forge a relationship and all of this stuff. And what he says about Austin, he is doing the revisionist history that WWE has of, like, you put a microphone up to Steve Austin's mouth and he said Austin 316 and we were off to the races. No, the hell we weren't. They were still thinking, well, goddamn, pal, this guy that's in here to be a carpenter and a mechanic and a heel, and he's getting over as a baby face, and I don't want that. And they tried to bury him for another, 3 or 4 months. This is the guy that when he came in there and he pitched the Stone Cold Steve Austin thing and he laid it out for him, he didn't have the name in mind yet. And they said, oh, we're going to go to creative services and we'll get you a name. And they came up with horrible crap like Chili McFreeze that we're still making jokes about to this day. WWE is not the land of walk into the boss's office and wow him, and you're going to get a creative gimmick. WWE is the land of it's Vince's mindset, it's Vince's vision, it's what Vince wants. You are not going to ever get over more than you're allowed to get over.
Yeah, but guys used to be able to go into his office, right? Back in like the 90s, no?
Yeah, because Vince didn't have a million people in front of him and he didn't have the corporate structure that he has now. I really am on the bandwagon of Jim Cornette, is that the more corporate you make wrestling and the more gatekeepers you put in charge between the people making the decisions and the talent, the worse it's going to be. Because this is why you get guys reciting bland freaking scripts, and it's obvious that it's not their verbiage, it's not what they want, it's not what they think. I don't get it, and I don't get why the guy is still in there trying to defend it. I get that he loves it. I get that he got in there in a position where he was willing to be like Vince and give up his entire life to make WWE, put it on his back and make it a thing. And I respect his work ethic. But at the end of the day, he is talking well above his station. He is a guy that frankly ran the modern version of a new generation. And I don't think anybody's going to look back in 5 or 10 years and have that feeling that some people have about the new generation where they go, well, at least you had Brett, at least you had Shawn, at least you had Taker, and those guys. So it was a nice transition to the next boom period of the Attitude Era. Cena was on top for 10 years. He didn't draw nearly what any other top guy, and I'm going to throw it back to Bruno. I doubt he even drew like Bruno drew. He was not universally over in his role. And part of it is because of dumbass statements like this. When he would get out there in public, he would say stupid things that are clearly towing the company line and just demoralizing and pissing the talent off, where he goes back and he blames the victims for why they're not over and why it's not better.
All right, you got a comment, Professor. Kyle says, you're wrong. Austin got more over than the ringmaster was supposed to. You have to take Vince's vision and make it work, aka Mankind and Austin.
Okay, Kyle, if Mick Foley had taken Vince's vision and made it work and had not spoken up in that first meeting where he was being pitched his character, Mankind would have never existed. You would have gotten Mason the Mutilator. That was Vince's vision for Mick Foley. Mason the Mutilator. And because Mick Foley could think on his feet, Mick Foley pitched him Mankind, pitched him the 2 entrance music, basically pitched him the entire character. Yes, if you get in a meeting with Vince and he gives you something terrible and you're smart enough to be like Mick Foley and say, all right, let me quickly take this terrible thing you gave me and tweak it here, tweak it there, tweak it over there, and turn it into something better. You can do that. But that was also 20 years ago. That was a very different time. And that was when WCW was kicking the crap out of them. And that's why Vince changed things up. Because Vince had a meeting at the Bad Blood pay-per-view when he found out Brian Pillman was dead. There was a meeting and 2 things were discussed. First, he said, He gave everybody the news about Brian Pillman being found in the hotel dead. And then he said, you know what? If anybody has any ideas, I'm going to be over here in my office. Come knock on my door because maybe I don't know everything. Brian's dead. WCW is kicking the crap out of me. We got to change things.
Foley's suggestions was taking Vince's vision and making it work.
Sure, but the other problem, too, is Vince doesn't know what his vision is anymore. Raw gets rewritten 3 or 4 times on the day. On the day.
Yeah,
if there's no long-term plan, how do you change anything? And how many guys are getting face-to-face with Vince at this point?
If I can speak to that, Kyle, Vince was a different animal back in the 90s than he is now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing there. Mankind and Austin and Stone Cold and early Undertaker had a different Vince McMahon than these guys have to deal with nowadays.
And they learned a different way. They came through the territories. They had all this experience working in different parts of the country in front of different audiences, learning what works. A lot of people that are coming up now, their only frame of reference is the Performance Center, is Florida, is what WWE tells them. So they've only learned one thing, one way, and they don't have that ability to reach back into their mental Rolodex and say, well, I remember I worked here and this worked, and then I worked over there and this worked. They don't have the same experience level.
All right, we're going to switch gears to Harry's next topic as we're going back and forth here, TJ, between heel turn and the Professor.
I'm fine with that. It's very entertaining.
John Cena was Professor's topic. So Harry's next topic is information about the North American title tournament. Go ahead, Harry.
Well, as we all know, Keith Lee, he won the North American title, and then he won the NXT title. Yeah. So now it's a tournament. Yeah. Now, my first thought when it all happened was, all right, it's going to be some big-name guy. Don't win it. Who gives a shit?
Okay.
Now, the guys that have already won to be in the ladder match to win the title are guys that have not been heavily used or new guys who they're trying to get you into.
Right.
There has been Bronson Reed. There's Dexter Lumis.
Yeah.
Damian Priest.
Right.
And I think that's it so far. But what happened was Lumis is injured.
Right.
So they're going to have 2 matches of people who lost to then take his spot and the final spot. And this week they're doing a title match with Cameron Grimes, Kushida, and a mystery opponent.
Okay.
What I like about this tournament and what I think it's going to show is that it's the younger guys that you don't know about that they're trying to get you exposed to. Now, mind you, there's been the high-profile guys. Finn Balor's been in it. Gargano's been in it. There's been big-name people that have been in the tournament that haven't won that you would go, okay, maybe they're going to win. Now, my hope is that you get a ladder match with all the up-and-coming guys. Because, unfortunately, there is a 2-hour window with a ton of talent that you can't expose everybody. So if you can get matches going up to it, showcasing the guys, and then you get a ladder match showcasing the final product of who won, I think you can make a lot of stars out of a tournament. Now, the basic thought process, and I'm sure you and Keith will say this, is triple threats not that great. You don't get as much showcase. You're not going to show as much off. But I've always been of the mindset that, you know what, if I see a guy consistently and I can look at him even in small doses, I can get behind him if you want to get him going forward.
And then he goes nowhere.
All right,
You're
listen,
bad at picking stores.
do I have to put this on? Do I have to put this back on, Keith?
I was just going to say, where's your rain jacket? Put it on.
Come on. It's cloudy. Right. It's not raining anyway. Listen.
Yeah.
The problem with NXT is that there's new guys. They go to the main roster. Right? And then you leave the cupboard bare.
Mm-hmm.
With a tournament like this, if you can get just a taste in someone's mouth of what someone is, if you show them again and again, even in small doses, you're going to go, okay, this guy's cool. This guy's interesting. I like this guy maybe. Let me see more. You can build somebody without showcasing them heavily. And whoever wins this tournament is going to be a fresh guy. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially for a secondary title. Because then you can get new feuds for Keith Lee with the bigger guys. And then even if the bigger guys go to the main roster, you could say, oh, I was the North American title champion. Same thing with the IC title. That used to be, and Keith will attest to this, that was the title to get to the main title.
Mm-hmm.
So if this can be the title to get to the main title, you can show guys that maybe no one really knew about. Bronson Reed. I mean, Dexter Loomis is all about the Undisputed Era, so you're getting that. But there's other guys that I didn't even know about. There was a guy in NXT UK. I had no idea who he was. And he just wrestled, and I was fairly impressed with him.
All right, Cousin Kyle says, the problem with WWE is there's too many belts. If you are going to make more and more and more, why not give everyone a belt? Like a participation award.
Well, because there's NXT, Kyle, and then there's SmackDown, and then there's Raw. So right. Each part needs a title. And if you just have NXT World title, then everyone's fighting for one title, and then people get lost.
I agree with that, but I also see Kyle's point. If you had a harder separation of the shows like you're supposed to, like if you could get it to where, and you really, I think, could with the network now, where that system wouldn't work during the pay-per-view era, because saying to people, oh, pay full price for a pay-per-view, get half the roster. That's awesome, right? You're totally going to sign up for that, aren't you? It doesn't work. But now where you have the network where you could say, okay, Raw's going to take and have a show on the week of, say, August 24th. NXT is going to have something on the 15th. And, you know, who did I not say? SmackDown, I think. And then SmackDown has the very end of the month. That could work. That could be a selling point because all you have to do is pay your $9.99 to start and you get 3 mainline shows. And then that makes a lot more sense to have the extra titles because now you're going, there is no overlap.
It's time.
Yeah.
All right,
Billy says, there's so make it obvious, and then it's obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious. He's walking. You see him walking, and he's like, "Oh crap, the camera's still on."
That's okay. I'm gonna shit on this whole tournament while he's away anyway.
Go ahead, do it.
Have at it. I thought he was leaving because you were about to shit on the tournament. So
that's his secret reason.
Yes.
The one he won't admit to.
He'll be back. Go ahead.
Yeah. I hate the idea of this. I know they've got a ton of metrics and research and all that to say that a standard one-on-one tournament doesn't draw. And to that I say, well, fuck you. Because three-ways suck.
Oh!
WWE three-ways suck. They do. It's the same thing every time. You have to get a guy like punched in the head, and then he's dead for 15 minutes. So these two guys can fight each other. Then he magically wakes up and punches somebody else in the head, and they're dead for 15 minutes. So and rinse and repeat. It doesn't get anybody over. It doesn't make anything good. nobody's getting over from that. And then worse than all this, you go through all the three-ways to qualify for a car accident four-way ladder match. Nobody gets over in these car accident four-way ladder matches. People will remember, put it on. People will remember the result. People will remember who wins. But nobody's going to remember anything that happened in this match. Nobody's going to remember anybody else. To me, this is the worst way. If you're trying to get multiple talents over, this is the worst possible thing you could have done to do that.
Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
Why do you watch WWE, Keith?
You don't.
I don't. I watched NXT, and then it became WWE.
Why do you watch why do you watch wrestling?
Because I used to enjoy it. Yeah, I stopped watching Raw and SmackDown because I don't enjoy them, and I have no faith that they're going to get better. NXT up until the pandemic, NXT was like Alan pointed out. It was wrestling. It was guys wrestling. There were wrestling storylines that were definably wrestling storylines. There were not jokes, stupid characters everywhere. They were not doing car accident matches just to do car accident matches.
Back to basics.
Right. Everything was logical and it would make sense. And now then we have this. I'm going to watch the NFL guy with 3 matches wrestle arguably the best worker on any roster in that company, because that's the best thing we can do with the longest reigning champion ever. And he's coming off of being the longest reigning champion ever. Like, what, 2 months ago? It's not like it was 2 years ago. It was 2 months ago. It's just an exercise in getting everybody under. And if this is how NXT is going to continue to go, yeah, I'm going to stop watching it. I'm just going to be watching AEW, and I'm going to be watching old matches when I need a wrestling fix.
That last comment seemed to be a trigger for you there, Keith.
How do you really feel, Keith? Don't hold back this time.
Let me break this down in
break
terms
it down.
Give him hell, Harry.
Yeah, no, but so let's take basketball first, right?
Basketball.
There was a time when, you know what?
You got TJ's attention.
Inside out. You threw it into the center, they threw it out, right? There was a time when it was all about your jump shot, 2-pointers, making jump shots. There was all a time for all that, right?
Yes. Okay.
Now we're in the 3-point era, right? And you know what? Everyone loves the 3-point shot right now, right? And you know what? Basketball is extremely popular. Everyone loves basketball. Decline is not happening in basketball. This is where I'm going to compare wrestling to baseball.
Wait, you just said basketball. Now I'm confused.
No, but basketball is still popular. Baseball, on the other hand, not as popular as it used to be.
No.
Okay. And you know what? There's unwritten rules in baseball. You don't do this. You don't do that. This is the way it's supposed to go. If you don't do this, it's not baseball.
No DH in the National League?
Yeah. So, I'm going to guess by Keith's perspective, unwritten rules in wrestling. This is the way it's supposed to go. You're supposed to do it this way. It's always been this way, so we're going to do it this way. You don't think wrestling viewership in general, not just WWE, I'm going to say in general, is down because it's just the way it's supposed to be, and if you're not doing it that way, you're not doing it correctly?
No.
Really?
Also, I don't know why you keep making sports-related analogies to scripted entertainment, which is what wrestling is. Here's my point. Because I thought of this today. This is the analogy I'm going to go with. Let's take Terminator 2, right? That's pretty close to what we're talking about with wrestling. We're talking about a scripted action situation. So if you get to Terminator 2 and you go through Terminator 2 and you get to the end of Terminator 2 and Schwarzenegger, the Terminator is facing off with the T-1000, right? And they're nose to nose and they're ready to go and you're anticipating that fight. You can't wait for who throws the first punch. And they look at each other and the T-1000 goes, dance off. And Terminator goes, dance off. and they just start dancing for no frickin' reason, what are you gonna do? You're gonna walk out of the theater.
No, I'm
you're
gonna get up and
what
dance.
the crap is this?
Me, I'm gonna get up and be like, go Schwarzenegger, it's your birthday.
Yeah, like this isn't what I paid to see. And that's what I'm talking about, is there are certain things that it's just a bad idea to do. And right now, it seems to me like when you have a bunch of people that don't understand what they're supposed to be writing, you get stupid ideas. You get hot shots. You get people going, oh, let's just throw a bunch of guys in a match because more guys in a match, that'll work, right? Well, no, not necessarily. When you have talent that haven't been trained to properly understand what it takes to get over. I mean, they'll bring in guys like Ricky Morton. FTR was talking about this. They brought Ricky Morton in the Performance Center to teach people about tag team wrestling. Nobody wanted to talk to Ricky Morton. Nobody wanted to learn anything from him. There is a way that things have been done because it works, because it's worked for 100 years. I don't understand the argument that says, well, it worked for 100 years, and now all of a sudden it's not going to work anymore. Throw it all out.
Well, because generations change, Keith. You remember when...
Do you remember how many years I just said that this worked? That's
so your theory is to the end of time? Your theory is going to work to the end of time?
It's worked so far. Yes, you have to tweak things. I'm not saying you can't ever move anything, but the basic rules and the basic ideas of how stuff works, you have to keep that. You just said, yeah, the NBA evolved. But did the NBA evolve so much that they said, like, get rid of the hoops, get rid of the baskets, we're just going to throw the ball at the audience, and that's basketball now? No, you do change. You tweak things, but you got to keep the fundamentals there. Because if you get rid of everything identifiable, you don't have the thing that it used to be anymore.
No. Oh, no. So, Keith, you remember when you used to sacrifice butt in baseball and it was all about getting runners to the next base and batting averages mattered?
Yeah.
You know now what matters? How many home runs you hit and what your slugging percentage is. Because you know what? People care about home runs. So
the highlights, man. Highlights.
No one cares about your fundamentals for 100 years. Just like no one cares about going outside and playing with their friends. They want to be on their internet.
Hey, don't shoot the internet. We're on it right now, pal. These people are watching instead of going out.
Like, times change. And if you're not going to get with the times, then you're going to run into this. Like, I totally appreciate what you're saying, and I get it.
Can I get the Daniel's comment?
You have to understand that sometimes it's not what was done before, it's what works now.
Right.
And people like us, like me, Al, and yourself, and even TJ, like we reminisce and we talk about the past, and we love it. But the present, unfortunately, might be different. And
do you love the product right now? Is the product doing the same ratings and the same engagement and the same level of money that it used to do?
My love for the sport is not as hard as you guys.
It's not a sport.
Daniel says they have too much talent and too many old heads writing that shit that's fucking them good talent stars. Fucking what's made them indie stars.
WWE went into a huge craze of signing all these guys. And maybe that was their fault. Maybe they had too many stars and not enough time. But at the same time,
Mr. Earth.
You gotta make time for these younger guys and these guys that are not getting TV time.
Change is a must, he says. Change is a must.
North American title is going to get them some TV time and some exposure. And maybe, when you call up the other guys, you're not where they are right now, where there's no main event guys around Keith Lee.
Change is always a must, but to Keith's point, okay? what worked back then, you're right, Harry, might not work right now. But what they're doing right now is not working. It's not.
It's
Ratings
not.
are down on every. Now look what AEW's doing. Look what AEW's. They're destroying NXT in the rank in the ratings and the demographic. And why? Why? They're not doing anything crazy. They're not ECW 2.0. They're not doing anything, but they're just putting on, quality matches and introducing us to a whole bunch of talent out there that we don't know who they are.
But they're not quality matches. A lot of that stuff's not quality.
Okay. So why are they winning? Why are they winning? Tell me why they're winning.
Because I'll tell you why. Because you had John Cena, you had Roman Reigns, you have Charlotte Flair, you have all these guys shoved down your throat, and they're burying the up-and-coming guys.
I also think that AEW is the hot new thing. People are looking for an alternative to Vince. Are the independents for the most part lighting the world on fire? No, they're not. I mean, they're doing pretty well. They're doing better than, they have in a long, long time. But you do have an audience out there that they want AEW to be that ECW 2.0. They want AEW to be that next big thing, and they'll overlook the warts to do that. I don't agree that everything on AEW is terrible. I don't think everything on AEW is amazing, though.
Right.
If I never see them do another 10-man tag again, it'll be too soon.
Oh yeah, that
was horrifying garbage.
Yes.
But then you look at like an MJF, and MJF is the best heel in wrestling right now. MJF, give MJF everything. Give him all the television time. Give him all the titles. Give him all the things. He's amazing. And I'm not arguing that you can't evolve and that you can't change. But if you're going to say all change is good, when you can look at every metric that matters and say it's not doing as good as it used to, then maybe you have to go back to some fundamentals. Maybe you have to go back to a drawing board and you have to say what's different now. What is it about now that's not working? Because you can't argue that WWE right now is a stronger company than it's been in the past. In some ways, yes, because they'll never go out of business now. That's very different from where they were in the mid-90s. But, in terms of creative and everything else.
Daniel, that is my opinion exactly right there. AEW has an indie feel that NXT had, and it's gone away from what's made NXT. That is exactly my opinion.
Absolutely, because what happens is now it's on national TV. Vince's advisors are getting in his ear and saying, it has to be a certain way. It has to be, a WWE production. That's what ruined the reboot of ECW. The original idea for that was Shane McMahon saying, I'm going to have an internet show and we're going to run it in small buildings and we're going to have mostly ECW talent come back and then cycle new guys in. Basically, he wanted to run ECW, but without it having to worry about, not paying guys until next month and putting people on bereavement airfare and all the other scumbaggy tricks that Paul Heyman used to do to put a show on. But then Kevin Dunn and Stephanie and everybody else got in Vince's ear and said, oh no, if we're going to put our name on it, it's got to be on television, network television, and they can't do that hardcore violent stuff. They have to do it the WWE way, and look what happened. Within, 6 months to a year, they bled most of their audience, and the only people that would stick around are those diehards that are just like, oh, wrestling is on? I'll watch it. Even if it's bad wrestling, I don't care. It's wrestling, I'll watch it.
Yep.
I got a question for TJ.
We haven't heard a lot from TJ.
No, go ahead.
No question. So, from what I understand, TJ, you're an Undertaker fan.
Absolutely.
So, let me throw some stuff at you real quick.
Go ahead.
Now, the Undertaker had the first ever Hell in a Cell match. Right? And then there was the Mankind Hell in a Cell match.
Yes.
Now, I would hope we would agree that the Carnage is fully Mankind.
Right.
And with the Shawn Michaels one, you know what you get with the Shawn Michaels one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you watch those matches, what really, like, what's your wow moment? Is it the Kane entrance, like the Kane debut, or is it Mankind basically saying, F my life, I'm going to just do whatever it takes?
How much, like, let's be clear, how much did Mankind literally kill himself to make that match that match? You know what I mean? Like,
every injury he got.
Yeah, like, I was listening to his, I think it was the interview he had on Stone Cold's podcast. And he explained, like, one injury after another that stemmed from the initial cage match that destroyed him. And he sold the shit out of it. That was one of the greatest matches for me of all time because I'm such a huge Undertaker fan.
He wrestled that match with a broken foot, TJ. Hell in a Cell with Mankind.
You have to. I mean, but my argument and my devil's advocate would be Kane's impact was. I mean, it was substantial because it started like years and years of a feud between Kane and the Undertaker.
Yeah, I mean that was great. That was great for Kane. But your question to him was, which match was better? And which match sticks out as a wow moment to you? Kane's entrance during the Shawn Michaels thing.
No, I mean it was more of an impact. Like to me, like I will never say that Mick Foley doesn't get the credit for the ridiculous amount of injury that he came from that.
Right.
But what stemmed from the Kane one to me was like, who is this guy? And then when Jim Ross says it's got to be Kane,
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
said that.
Well, I think both of them weigh equally. Like, I don't think there's too many more Hell in a Cell matches that'll ever play. There's no other match that'll play out like the Mankind Undertaker, correct? But like at the same time, when you brought Kane in, and it was like, so now it's a 3-4 year feud. And eventually they become partners. They break back up, and long story short, but like it was the mystery around Kane. Like finally he's here. You know what I mean? They're both wow moments.
Harry, I got a question for you.
What?
You think that the majority of wrestling fans out there, my age or somewhere between 35 and 50, remember Mick Foley flying off the top of that Hell in a Cell, or Kane's entrance when he arrived?
Ooh.
I think they forget both.
Forget? No, I'm asking you, which one do they remember more?
I don't think they remember either.
Because neither one of I can speak to my age demographic. Yeah, I remember both of those days vividly. I was watching them both live, and I'm asking you what you think you remember more. They don't forget those two moments. I guarantee you that. Anybody 35 plus.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. But I mean, see, this is where I think you draw a line, because with Mick Foley, I think you're a fan or not a fan. Because he to me, he's a niche wrestler.
Who?
Mick Foley.
Is a niche wrestler?
Yeah. Because do you know him as Mankind? Do you know him as Dude Love?
Mm-hmm.
Depends when you came in.
Cactus Jack?
Yeah.
Cactus Jack.
You think Kane's one guy. You don't think Isaac Yankem. You don't think Fake Diesel.
Right.
Yeah,
that happened, TJ. That was
I know. I know.
I watched both of those.
It's funny because I laughed when he said Isaac Yankem. I don't know. I'm a huge horror movie fan, so the Kane is in the movie, and I think it's called The Dentist.
No, it's called See No Evil, isn't it?
See No Evil, correct, right.
Which wasn't bad. Wasn't a bad movie. Not a great movie.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad. There's plenty worse horror movies that's out there.
All right. I being the oldest guy in the room, I want to answer my own question, and I want to say that I vividly more remember Foley flying off the top of that cage than Kane's arrival. I'm not saying it was more of an impact. I'm just saying in my head, when I think of some of the moments that wow moments, as you called it, that was a wow moment for me. That guy flew off a 20-foot cage down through an announce table, and all Kane did was come down and rip the cage door off and attack his brother, which was cool. It was awesome. I'm not taking away from that, but what Foley did was crazy.
Yeah, but it's the hype, though. It was the hype between knowing Kane's coming and then seeing Kane, Yeah,
that was a huge build-up for that moment.
Yeah. But here's my other question, TJ.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to say this for you, and I'm sorry if I speak for you. Brock Lesnar was not supposed to end the streak.
No, definitely. Fuck Brock Lesnar as a staff record label exec, whatever he wants to be, fuck him too. And no, he really shouldn't have.
Who's really shouldn't have. End the streak?
Probably Roman Reigns later on. Because it just seemed that's how they really wanted it to play out toward the end of Taker's career.
Yeah, where that would have been a big deal if Roman beat him, if he beat Lesnar and Roman beat him a couple years later or whatever.
Right.
That would have been a much more monumental thing than Roman beating him now.
Yeah.
Like if we did the 2017 match, him and Roman, but he still got the streak, so Roman takes the streak. You think that makes it better? Because I disagree with Taker that he thinks that's such a bad match and that was so terrible. I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, I think it had one botch. He's basing it on one botch.
Yeah, he's going from two. He wasn't physically there and all that. But see, what I thought, because the psychology was so good, was they were doing like Taker was the old line in Winter, and he was half a step too slow, and Roman just is the young guy. He's hungry. He knows what the opportunity is, and he is coming up, and he's coming at him. And that's how I felt like they booked it. Like when he said, "Oh, I was out of shape and I was this, that, and the other thing," and they show it in the documentary, I'm like, bro, I didn't see it. And I've seen almost every Taker match there is, and I thought that was purely booking. That was just the story they were trying to tell. They were trying to tell the story of Taker's the old line, he's a half a step off, and here's the young guy that comes in and gets him.
Right. And I agree with you. And, I really wish the Lesnar match didn't happen. And I mean, it did happen, but I wish the outcome would have been different because of it, and not because I'm some super huge Undertaker fan, even though I am. It doesn't sit right with me because anybody that's a wrestling fan just should know that that shit didn't make sense and it shouldn't have played out the way it did.
Well, let me throw a name out to you. What about CM Punk?
Fuck CM Punk. My boy Mickey Gall trashed his ass in the UFC. He could take his ass with John Cena and they can go make Wish movies together.
And the bottom line is, they're lucky they didn't give it to Punk because Punk was out of there the next year. So, I mean, how much disaster would that have been?
As a wrestler, like as CM Punk's character, like that almost would have made sense. But like I think the foreshadowing, they knew he wasn't going to be there.
What about Bray Wyatt?
I like Brandon Wyatt too, though. I do.
But do you think
you're like breaking up, man? You're breaking up.
Me? Am I breaking up?
Yeah, you were.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good.
Hi, Verizon. Fucking Verizon.
I still think I like the Wyatt as well, but I like Roman Reigns made sense to me. Like for the long haul and what that match could have literally projected Roman Reigns' career to. Not that he's had a bad career, but like say if the Undertaker kept the streak and then pushed it forward and then lost the streak to Roman Reigns.
I agree.
Yeah. And that goes back to storytelling and psychology and going back to the Hell in a Cell for a minute. That's why I
Right.
like the initial Hell in a Cell better, because the Mick Foley Hell in a Cell, that's disaster porn. That's not wrestling to me. That's disaster porn. That's, you watch that match to watch a guy get hurt and almost die. He goes
I don't
off
wanna-
the cell, he separates his shoulder. He goes through the cell roof. He gets a tooth knocked out. He gets a concussion that he still has memory problems from today. He drops tacks on the ground and takes a bump in the tacks. I mean, that's not wrestling. That's just a guy willing to destroy himself. It's disaster porn. It is. It's like that. It's like how Mike watches FMW for the shark-filled water matches and the landmine stuff
Thank you for
and all
noticing.
that.
Real fast.
I did.
Holy shit!
This shit went left so fast.
Good.
Daniel, I appreciate your concern. I'm okay, and it went well.
Wow. Go ahead, TJ. What?
Cousin Kyle had made a comment that the Hell in a Cell match between the Undertaker and Mick Foley set that bar so high. And he's right. Even though it's danger porn or whatever Professor Keith called it, that's wild.
Disaster porn.
Right.
Disaster porn.
All right, we got another topic to get in here. Keith, you had brought this up before we went on air. That a TNT executive that brought in AEW has left. What are the implications to that as far as AEW goes? What do you got?
I mean, it's purely speculative at this point. AEW has a 4-year deal with TNT, so they're going to be there, through 2024. Obviously, you never want to lose your ally at a network. Just ask WCW, because they're out of business because Ted Turner lost control of his networks. And when AOL came in, AOL was like, we don't want a money-losing company in here. And there were a ton of people at Turner that had the knives out for WCW right from the minute Ted Turner bought it. But Ted Turner, as long as he was in control, it didn't matter how many people didn't want wrestling on the networks, wanted to badmouth wrestling. Ted Turner felt like wrestling had made TBS and TNT what they were. He was loyal to it, and he was going to keep it on his network. So I don't know that that's quite the situation that AEW had. I don't know that the new head, let me see, her name is Ann Sarnoff. I don't know if Ann Sarnoff is a wrestling fan, if she isn't a wrestling fan. Right now, from everything I can glean, TNT seems to be happy with AEW. It's bringing in that demographic they want. It's holding pretty solid with its rating. I mean, it goes up, it goes down, but it stays within the same sort of median level. And I mean, for cable, I think a lot of wrestling fans still have this idea of like, if you can't hit 5s and 6s, you must be terrible and you're garbage. But nothing hits 5s and 6s anymore, not even on broadcast. TV has changed when you can just go on your television and go, yeah, I don't like anything that's on. I'm going to go watch Netflix now. There's so many people cutting the cord and everything else. You really have to adjust your expectations. So, I mean, right now, on the surface, not a good idea to lose an ally and a great ally, but they seem to be secure for the next 4 years. And 4 years is a long time. And right now, I keep saying, there's stuff on AEW I don't like. There's stuff I really do like, but AEW is a startup. They haven't quite hit a year on television yet. They're still working some of the bugs out, and they're still figuring out what their identity is and what their brand is. And I think that's pretty exciting overall. They need to get rid of Marco Stunt though, because there is nothing redeemable about Marco Stunt. Nothing.
Come on, we could talk for a half hour on Marco Stunt. I don't want to. I'm gonna turn this over to Harry.
You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen Marco Stunt, TJ?
No.
The guy is 4'2", and they let him wrestle with the adults.
With the 7 footers. With the 7 footers.
Is he a phenomenal athlete?
No.
No.
Well then, yeah, he should join the Wish program with everybody else tonight.
Mhm.
He just gets tossed around by all the big guys.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the deal there. All right. There's a new segment that we debuted last week called Heel Turn Corner, because every situation in wrestling can be solved by turning somebody heel.
No, it can't.
In the words of our colleague here. So, heel turn. Do you have prepared a heel turn this week? Take it away, buddy.
I want to just break some terrible news to Keith. And yes, situations can be solved by heel turn speed. Anyway,
How much do I have to pay to cancel this segment?
you can pay nothing and just go. You can buy things anytime. But no, I'm not gonna say a heel turn. I want to pose a question to everybody now, except TJ because he's not too up to date. But there's been a huge tease of Cody turning heel, and there's been rumblings of the Four Horsemen coming to AEW. Now, everyone would think Cody turns and goes heel on Arn. But what if Arn turns on Cody during one of his matches with, the fly-by-night guy that no one gives a fuck about?
Arn Anderson, you're talking about. What
Yes,
if Arn Anderson turns on Cody?
During his match against, Gas Station Louie, who they
Right.
take from whatever promotion. And
Yeah.
what if he turns on him and costs him the title?
Yeah.
And he forms the Four Horsemen and Cody's not in it.
So rejoins. Yeah. Okay. So your suggestion is that Arn Anderson, this week's suggestion is Arn Anderson turns heel.
Yeah. But the real suggestion and the real discussion is, if it's not Cody, who's in this Four Horsemen? Because you would think Cody would be the centerpiece. So who's your centerpiece?
I have mixed views about whether or not there should even be a rebirth of the Four Horsemen.
Well, no, I'm saying no, but if there was, I'm gonna throw a name at you, and I don't know how you guys are gonna feel.
If there was, I would be sort of excited about it. The nostalgic side of me would be excited. But if there's not, I'm not really going to be upset.
Well, they can't call it the Horsemen. They'll have to call it something else because WWE is the trademark. But if you got Arn and Tully involved in it,
what about
people would see it that way. Huh?
What about what?
Shawn Spears as the head.
Shawn Spears makes sense to me to do that with. I think you need to rehab him a little bit more and give him some more good quality wins on TV. I like the idea of Arn turning on Cody because I think it makes sense, and Arn will be able to make it make sense because Arn can go back to the problems with Dustin, the feud with Dustin from WCW, and he's got that built-in tagline of going, Cody, you dumbass. A road should never, ever trust an Anderson.
Ever.
But listen, can I just say that I wanted this documented, that Keith agrees with me right now?
I want that document. It's on video. It's
a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
This video is available on YouTube tomorrow.
I love it. I love it.
I want to say, I mean, if you're going to do the Four Horsemen, it's got to be guys that you got to get the established guys. You got to get FTR has to be in it, my opinion.
I could see that. And also, too,
FTR.
you have FTR
and FTR
together at this point. Arn is associated with FTR. So
here's my people, you want FTR, you want Hangman Page, I want Shawn Spears, and I want Arn, and I'm good.
So Arn's the J.J. Dillon and those four guys.
Yep.
I could see it.
Yeah, I could do that. Because then you don't necessarily need Spears as a centerpiece. You make Hangman the centerpiece, and then Spears gets rehabbed by the association because FTR is over. Everybody takes FTR seriously, and I got to tell you, TJ, if you like old school wrestling, especially if you like old school tag team wrestling, check those guys out. FTR
on AEW tape.
They are like watching Arn and Tully, but a modern version.
Old school tag.
Arn and Tully.
Nice.
They are so smooth. They are
There's
so
no flippy dippy.
sound. Yeah.
There's
and that's
no
even part of their tagline. No flips, just fists.
So
nice. Definitely gonna check it out.
I want to touch on two things before we end this. I'm sure you guys haven't seen it, but I want to give a big shout out to how terrible AEW is.
Shout out to how terrible AEW is.
Yes.
That makes no
sense. So you're finally admitting you hate it.
Well, listen. Sammy Guevara, whatever his name is, literally took a chair and threw it at Matt Hardy's face from a close distance and broke his face open because he's just reckless and stupid.
Well, it was a sloppy move. I'm pretty sure he didn't mean to do that.
Listen, at the same point, Alan, you don't do it.
Stone Cold Steve Austin chucked beer cans at Kurt Angle's head once.
Yeah, well, beer cans, chair shots, different story.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I've never been a fan of guys throwing chairs at each other and stuff like that. I mean, that's why RVD would potato people every single day, because you can't really kick a chair into a guy's face and do it safely. It's pretty much down to, boy, I hope Rob isn't mad at me and has an idea about his kick angle, and hopefully I got this chair up right, that it's not going to kill me. I mean, it's an inherently dangerous move. I agree with you. I think in this day and age, people should know better. Yeah, I mean, I think in this day and age, people should know better and shouldn't be doing that kind of silly crap. And it goes down on AEW management that there isn't somebody there. I mean, hopefully somebody got with them in the back and said, like, yeah, see that thing you just did? Yeah, don't do that no more. You know, because that was one of the issues with ECW, is that Paul would just kind of let guys do whatever, and nobody would ever say anything to anybody about, gee, that seems like a bad idea or that seems unsafe. It was pretty much like, well, you just go do you. Because there's always pain pills. There's always pain pills, buddy.
So I want to throw something else at you guys. I mean, Alan and Keith are very familiar with him, and TJ, you should look him up.
Okay.
Damian Priest.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on him.
He comes very Razor Ramon to me. And the way that he plays a great heel, but you could easily slide him into that face role.
Probably.
With a cool guy.
No, well, I mean, they're doing it. He is doing well with it.
Yeah.
No,
he's pretty cool, TJ. If you ever get a chance to check him out.
I'll definitely check him out.
Yeah, Damian Priest is a character I feel they're underusing, and they need to not right now.
But he's in the ladder match.
I give him the North American title. I'd have him.
Yeah, if they do that, Keith, then okay. But what if he loses that? Then what?
No,
I mean,
who else is in it that you want to put it on? Anybody else, but the way that it's set up is that he's the
that's not true, Kyle. Rob
that is way not true.
Yeah, Rob Potato.
He might not have meant to hurt people, but Rob Van Dam hurt people.
Jerry Lynn cracked his skull working Rob Van Dam. If Lance Storm hadn't had a cracked skull prior to that himself, Jerry Lynn probably would have died because nobody would have recognized how badly he was hurt. Lance Storm had a cracked skull, and Lance said, "Oh shit," and got him in the car and drove him to the hospital.
All right, you all have had your fun. You all had your topics. I have one last topic for us to do. Okay, indulge me, please. This upcoming Wednesday, my boy down there in the corner's got a new show coming out. and I want him to speak to it right now.
Okay. This Wednesday at noon, it's called Spitting with Spitter. I got a bunch of great guests lined up. I'm going to be doing one-on-one interviews with different people that I either respect in the hip-hop game, the basketball game, the creative lane game, whether it be tattoo artists, graffiti artists, things of that nature. We're just going to sit down and have great conversations. And for the people that chimed in tonight, just in case anybody was wondering, I keep my microphone hidden in my afro up here in case John Cena needs the fucking business.
Yeah, there's also like a Lunchable in there too, right, Tay?
Tonight there's a microphone, a pizza Lunchable, 2 Slim Jims, a fish stick, and a roll of quarters.
Man's prepared.
So,
hey, listen. And real quick, on the heel turn Harry segment, Keith and Harry agreed 5 different times, and I find that completely unacceptable.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing. real cute. Real cute.
Yeah, dude, we have documented proof, though. This video is documented proof that happened. That just happened.
We're going to save that for later.
Well, listen,
I'm shocked.
TJ, let me tell you something. You write that down, document that shit. Never happen again.
Yo, we got one last question before we wrap this up. Daniel asked, "Hey, you guys think there's a rumor John Cena is gonna reform the NWO for one last run? Have you heard anything to that?"
Listen,
I don't see it.
If John Cena reforms the NWO, I'm going to officially go to Connecticut, find Vince McMahon, and just punch him in the face. That's what I'm going to do.
Daniel,
last heel turn corner.
Didn't you love that in Bray Wyatt's Firefly Fuckhouse of Garbage?
Yes, I did.
Thing?
Yes.
So why don't you want to see it in real life? It was good enough for Bray Wyatt's imaginary tour of I don't know what that was. Why isn't it good enough for real life?
The imaginary tour.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen, Daniel. It's not gonna happen. As Cena's done, but if it did happen, man, I'd be the happiest little child on earth because unlike you, can I talk or no? Can I talk? I guess I can't talk.
No,
go ahead, Harry.
Stop talking.
Yeah, because I haven't talked the whole damn show. When I do, you talk over me. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. My bad. Alan, I'm sorry. Don't hurt me. My bad.
Yeah, I was gonna put Harry's ass. Shut up.
Probably would.
I'm just gonna put the 70-year-old man, Harry.
There you go.
We all know now. We all know now. You be sitting down, so you know.
I do.
Oh my God. This show is off the rails.
This shit went smooth off the rails from the time Harry sat down to pee.
It's very goddamn comfortable. Don't knock it. It's comfortable.
It's comfortable. Okay, it's comfortable. All right. I want everybody watching right now to remember to tune in to tomorrow night for our 6 o'clock normal show. We are interviewing JT Cage and the original Hat Guy from ECW tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So tune in for that. Excited. Also tune in tomorrow night for Clock Watch at their normal Sunday slot at 9 o'clock. I know they had problems this week with the weather, but they're back and they're better than ever. And Sundays normally, TJ, am I right? Sunday's the flagship show. Am I right? For the Clock Watch.
It's Sunday and Tuesday. I mean, I prefer all of them, but I mean, maybe because I'm just a fan. But Sunday nights at 9 o'clock we got Clock Watch. Tuesday nights 9 o'clock we got Clock Watch. Monday nights we got Power P. It's the all ladies panel.
Gotta
Wednesday,
get Power P.
Absolutely.
Love you, Lady E. Love you.
Hey,
absolutely.
How do I get on your show, DJ? Do I gotta sign a petition?
No, not at all. We can make that shit happen whenever you want. Whenever you want. I would love to have Hot Topic Harry come on the show, man. That shit would be awesome.
Oh my God, they would tear you apart, Harry. Oh, by the way,
why has he not noticed that banner yet? That's like the second or third time you put it up. Is he just not noticing it, or is he no-selling it?
No. Hey, Alan, let me ask you something though.
Yes.
You really think you're gonna win the division? I got a lot of luck.
No, but I gotta take what I can get.
Yeah.
And on that note,
You're gonna finish
I
the
get it.
season?
Totally get it. You're an Eagles fan. I get it. Don't
and
worry.
on that note, I'm a Phillies fan. On that note, thanks everybody for joining us tonight on Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Wait. Hold on.
I can't even do my fucking final thing yet.
No one wants this show to end.
Go ahead, Harry. What?
I want to remind everybody of one simple thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There was not one bad storyline. There was not one bad character that a heel turn cannot just solve.
And on that note, tune in tomorrow night at Sunday at 6 o'clock. We got JT Cage and the original hack guy from ECW, Triple Double A, Stars, live, 6 o'clock. The interview, be there or be a loser. And I'm the Big Albowski. He was Professor Keith. He was heel turn Harry, and we had Mr. Spitter on with us on Around the Turnbuckle. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.